We are back at it again. Zach here from BIMteriors, and I have 10 tips and tricks that I wish I found out earlier while working in Revit. These 10 tips and tricks will help you work in Revit more efficiently and with less headaches. Let's jump right into them. Tip number one, annoying double clicking into family editors. This tip is how to customize what double clicking on an element does so it doesn't bring us into the family creation zone. If you go to the File tab, under the Options icon, you can then navigate to User Interface, where we have the double click options. We can now customize this to either edit the type or do nothing. My preference is always to do nothing. This way, here it doesn't interrupt my workflow of whatever it is I'm working on when I accidentally double click on an element. Now, before going to tip number two, while we're on this screen, you'll see that there are keyboard shortcuts. I think it's super important for us to familiarize yourself with these shortcuts, which will then help you become faster while working in Revit. The cool thing is that you can customize these shortcuts to be anything that you would like them to be. So if you're coming from other softwares, you can mimic those shortcuts with commands you want to use. Revit is challenging enough, so why not make it easier on yourselves? Tip number two, selecting tools. Sometimes it's not easy selecting exactly what you want. In the bottom right hand corner, you have different selection tools as we went over in the previous episode. Select links, which allow you to select the links and their elements, select underlay, elements, and other selection tools. But for this specific example, we're going to go over the filter tool, which allows you to highlight an entire area of a view and give you the ability to filter what you're searching for. For example, if we made a selection over this area of the plan and we only want to select walls, we can use our selection tool, which will prompt up everything we have selected, and then we can uncheck all and check only what we want to see and then hit OK. Note, if you're having trouble selecting and dragging or moving things around by accident, use this tool. Drag elements might be something you want to disable. So when you are selecting an element, that you aren't also moving it around by accident. Tip number three, enter any units you want. Each model has a default unit that is used when you type a value. However, you can type any units you want. For example, if this is an imperial file that you're working on and you type 152 millimeters, that is the same as typing 6 inches, and Revit automatically knows this. Tip number four, the selection box and working in multiple views. Using the selection box is such an amazing tool to help isolate 3D views around only what you're trying to see. So many times I find Revit users use the default 3D view, but then have to spend the time to push in and out the control grips to get exactly where they want. And this can be very annoying in a larger scale project. This tool from any view allows you to select an item and then navigate to the selection box tool, which will then create a 3D view of your selection, saving you time not trying to create a 3D view and then having to then push and pull to exactly where you want to review. Revit is also a data environment, so take advantage of working in multiple views at once. Using the window tile tool, you can then be working on a plan while seeing the changes happen in real time in elevations and 3D views to help visualize what you're trying to create. Tip number five, visibility graphics. This is all about how to clean up your views, but not hiding elements in your view manually. This is one of my biggest no-nos when it comes to working in Revit. Using this new tool will make your life easier knowing exactly what is turned off and on, and will make your BIM managers very happy. The better way of hiding elements in your views is using visibility graphics. By pressing VV or VG, it will prompt you to this screen. Now, this will allow you to turn off or override different components to your view. So if you wanted to turn off all furniture, rather than going to the view and turning it off by selecting the element and right-clicking to hide element in view by categories or elements, the better way is to by coming to your visibility graphics, VV or VG, and unchecking the furniture family. Now, keep in mind that this is only view dependent, meaning that it will only change this specific view, and why I would recommend getting to know more about this next tip. Tip number 6, view templates. Do you waste a lot of time setting up your views? I'm a firm believer that you should only have to adjust the settings for your views once, and then being able to store them in a view template and apply them to both existing views and any new views you're about to create. View templates will help apply standard settings to views and will help ensure consistency across your construction sets throughout your company. Before we get into creating view templates, first think about how you use views. For each type of view, if that's a plan, elevation, section, 3D views, and so on, what styles do you use them for? As example, as interior designers, we may use many styles of floor plan views, such as partition, reflected ceiling plans, furniture, wall, and floor finish plans. You can create view templates for each style to control settings for the visibility overrides of categories, view scales, detail levels, graphic display options, and so much more. I'll be creating a video about everything you need to know on how to master a view template with not only models in your elements, but how to manage link consultant models and how they appear in your views in another episode. In this example today, we'll create a view template for a partition plan so we can hide all the unwanted furniture categories. Click on the View tab, Graphics panel, View Templates dropdown, and under the Manage View Templates. Templates for each view contain different sets of view properties. Select on the appropriate view type for the template you're about to create. In the names list, select the view template to use as a starting point and for the new view template, and then click on the duplicate icon. In the new view template dialog, enter the name for this template and hit OK. At this point, you can modify the view template property values as needed. So again, for this example, we'll go to our model category and turn off the unwanted furniture category from our views and click OK. Now we can assign the view template to other views that we want under this category. If you want to temporarily change the scale or visibility of a view without messing up the view template, there's a tool for that. It's called Temporary View Properties, and this is located on the bottom of your screen next to the globe icon. Tip number 7, Revit Filters. Well, visibility of elements can be controlled as we discuss using overrides and visibility graphics in views or using view templates, but sometimes you want to have a bit more control on what you want to hide or override. Filters gives you a lot of freedom and lets you be creative on how you want elements to display. So let's add a new filter to your project. In the View tab, you'll find the Filter tool just next to the Visibility Graphics and Thin Lines. To add a new filter to your project, click on Edit/New button in the menu. Create a filter. So the first step is to click the button to create a new filter and use the Define Rules filter for the moment. Then we want to select a category. Then select one or multiple categories to include in your filter. In this example, we'll pick furniture. Now pick the filter rules. That means you have to select parameters available from the element category and set constraints. In this example, the filter will include a specific furniture item that we want to further control. So in this example, we'll use this TV. We can use a family name and create a filter based on the family name parameters. So we'll type in M underscore TV dash flat screen and hit OK. Filters are applied to a single view. So now that your filter is in the project, you still need to bring it to a view for it to have an actual effect. Go to the Filters tab and click on the Add button. The filter is now added to your view that you're currently working in. Now, one of the most common uses of filters, the filter feature, is to make an element invisible in your view. Uncheck the visibility parameter for the filter in the filter submenu. All TVs will now be hidden. So the other way to use filters is to change the visual styles of the filtered elements. In this case, let's have some fun, and we can apply a pink solid fill pattern to all our TVs. Filters become extremely useful when adding to view templates. That means filters can be applied to multiple views in a single click. In big projects, taking control of view filters with view templates is critical. In this view template management window, make sure that the filter box is ticked to take full control of all the filters you're about to create for your projects. Tip number 8, press escape twice to exit creation mode. A lot of new users get confused when adding new elements because they're stuck in the creation mode. Revit wants you to create many elements unless you tell it to stop. So hit escape twice to get back to normal and moving around Revit. Tip number 9, copy to clipboard tool. This next tip is if you want to copy elements across two different views. You can use the Control C, like in most softwares, to copy and the Control V to paste. However, it's very difficult to line things up. Instead, you can use the copy to clipboard tool. You can still copy the element using Control C, but when it comes to pasting the element, navigate to your paste options. For example, if I wanted to select this furniture element and apply it to level 2, we can then go to level 2, navigate to our paste options, and select paste align to current view. And this will align it to the same place as it was on level 1, then now it is on level 2. Or we can go back to level 1 and you can copy another element in this view and go back to our paste options and then assign it to a selected level, and pick level 2. Both of these options work. This is a great tool when designing typical levels, but they change ever so slightly. You can use it to design one level and use the copy tool to align these elements to other levels in your project, saving you a lot of time. Lastly, we have tip number 10, pinning elements. Use the pin tool to lock modeling elements in place. When you pin a modeled element, it cannot be moved. If you try to delete a pinned element, Revit warns you that the element is pinned and cannot be deleted. I typically use this tool for any consultant Revit models we are linking into our projects, or any levels or grids that we may have copy monitored. Sometimes it's easy for someone to grab an element and move it accidentally and not know. So this tool will help avoid those problems like this. To pin an element, do as such. Select the element itself to be pinned. Click on the Modify tab. Under the Element tab, Modify panel, and then click on the pin icon. Revit displays a push pin control near the element to indicate that it is pinned in place. To move or delete an element, you first must unlock it by clicking on the push pin control. Clicking on the push pin again to lock the element. That wraps up my tips and tricks for Revit users at all levels. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the new episode all the way to the end, and for that, I thank you. Like and subscribe now to gain access to new Revit content weekly.